Alright, new clip. Action.
Alright.
Where you got the room?
Santi, calm down. We don't need it.
You keep putting the room in there.
Okay, it's fair. Alright, this is good. Action. Wait. Action.
Guys. Alright, everybody. So, there's been a lot of confusion on the internet about the factory crank angle sensor and trigger kits and just things of that sort for like the RB platform. So, I want to make a video that demonstrates why we don't use the factory crank angle sensors anymore, what the aftermarket kits do, and actual proof to show what all this stuff is about. It's not just, hey, you should do this or not do that. We're going to break this down into something that actually makes sense, video proof of it working, not working, so people can actually have a better understanding of what they're spending their money on. Alright, so let's get started with what all this does, right? So your engine position sensor, your engine position sensor's job is to tell this guy, the brain, the computer, at what point in the auto cycle the engine is. The auto cycle is 270 degrees worth of rotation. If your ECU commands the injector to inject fuel at whatever degree, you want to make sure that it's exactly that degree. If the computer wants to command your ignition coil to create a spark at 15, 20, 30 degrees, whatever, you want it to be that exact number. The ECU is only as smart as the information given to it. So what that does is it puts us in a situation where if this guy can't give this guy the right information, then this guy isn't running right. Now, up on the screen, we're going to put a video of one of these guys, right? And what's happening here is we're actually commanding the ECU to ignite the #1 coil pack at 0 degrees of engine timing. And as you can see in the video, it's moving around. It shouldn't do that. Now, next video is going to be the ECU commanding 0 degrees of ignition timing using a trigger kit. In that case, it's a PRP trigger kit. And what you can see is there's almost no movement whatsoever in that in that command. The reason for it is this guy is lying. Not intentionally, but because of its design and because of how it operates, it never gives a clear signal to the ECU, or I shouldn't say that. It gives a clear signal to the ECU, it's just wrong. Alright, so why is this guy wrong, right? So, like I said, the ECU wants to know where the engine is in the 720 degree auto cycle. So how is this guy giving it the wrong information? Well, the whole cycle is based off what this guy is doing in your crankshaft, right? The Nissan crank angle sensor found in your RBs, your VGs, SRs, KAs, and a couple other engines takes all its engine position off your cam. So what it does is it assumes where the crank is, right, based on where the cam is. And you can kind of see where the flaw starts, right? So the first big issue with it is, if we move over here with the camera, is how it actually connects to the cam. It uses what I call a starfish pattern. I know it's not called that. You can make fun of me if you want, but either way, negative starfish, positive starfish, they mate together. The issue is there's a little bit of play there. So off the rip, you're going to have some discrepancy in what the timing is at the crank, because there's a little bit of discrepancy in what the timing is between the sensor and the cam itself. Second issue, these engines use a timing belt. The timing belts are always going to have some play to them. It's just the nature of the beast. Even chains have a little play to them. Belts just have a little more. Because of that play, as you load and unload the engine, you're going to see the position of the cam change compared to the position of the crank. Now, when you're working with 720 degrees, even the smallest amount of change is going to equate to something. There's going to be something there. 2, 3, 4, 5 degrees, as you saw in the video of the ignition wandering. Now, what's the issue with that? Well, if you're tuning an engine for a lot of power or very specific specifications, 1, 2 degrees makes a huge difference in whether this thing survives or not, right? So when we have ignition wandering 4, 5, 6 degrees, you can see where that doesn't jive, right? Because of this, you open the door for so many potential issues with tuning, with engine performance, and sadly with longevity, especially if you're tuning on pump gas or any sort of knock-happy fuel. Okay, so what's the solution to this, you ask, right? Well, it's simple. we want to get our crank position information from the crank, right? The source. And this is, I don't know the exact name, but I guess this would be what I would call the basic PRP trigger kit. And what this does is, it uses a crank position sensor, this guy here, and it also uses a cam position sensor. So what that does is, it lets us know at all times at what point in the auto cycle we are, but it also lets us know at all times exactly where the crank is. And that's what allows us to have stable timing. In the video you saw where the timing light held the 0 dot exactly where it needed to be, this is the kit that was being used. If this guy commands 20 degrees, it's 20 degrees. If he commands 0, it's 0. If he commands 15, it's 15. Now, this isn't new technology. This has been used for years and years and years and years. It's just Nissan decided to use this for some reason, and whatever, it works. But this is better. If you want to kind of have an idea of you know, where a good example of where this is also at, this is the exact same setup used in, for example, a 2J or 1J engine from Toyota, which, believe it or not, do not have these issues, right? Because from factory, they come with a cam position sensor and a crank position sensor. All right, so let's talk about, do you need this? Do you need this? What's the point? And the real way to think about this is, people have been using the factory CAS for, you know, as long as these cars have existed, right? You can get away with it. It does the job. It will always do the job. There's nothing wrong with it other than its standards of producing a signal for this guy are always going to be a lot lower than what this guy can produce. So if your standards are high and you want everything to be perfect, then you go with this. If you're okay with your conditioning wandering around and potentially being an issue or possibly not being an issue at all, go with this. You know, I try to build cars to the highest standard possible. I don't like things to be, you know, 5 degrees out of spec. So I'll always do this. The guys that are running this, you know, you don't deserve to get made fun of. The guys running this, you don't deserve to get made fun of. You didn't pay for something you didn't need. It's okay, right? This is why this video was made, because everybody's pointing fingers at everybody going, why'd you do that? Well, why'd you do that, right? There is a place for everything. There's a reason for everything. And I hope that this video kind of explains, you know, both sides of it so that people understand why this route and this route work, but why this route and this route might not be for everybody. Does he like know you're taking a picture of him or something? Because he's like really into this.